Hi, Apollo PS2 here. Every day on Auraxis, you continue to demonstrate your inability to control your Harasser, throwing away your Nanites with reckless abandon. Please, for just a few minutes of your time, you'll help prevent yourself from driving like an absolute scrub and maybe, just maybe, get to direct armor fights for yourself. Your gunner deserves better, and so do you. The first step on the path to self-preservation is to equip the right loadout for your Harasser. First, the easy stuff. Everyone knows that Harasser chads all across Auraxis only run halberds. After all, Nanite systems are our overlords in 2864. Fire suppression is king, and depending on if you are part of a team or a lone wolf, opt for either composite or stealth accordingly. After a while, you'll develop your own style and know which works best for you. Choosing the right chassis is where things get tricky. For this tutorial, I want to teach you how to deal with more powerful vehicles in head-to-head combat. For solo, passive playstyles, Surger, the hill climbing specialist, and Scrapper, which provides easier maneuvering, can be advantageous. But to compete with the very best, you'll need to learn how to drive with either Racer or Daredevil chassis. Racer is self-explanatory with its higher top speeds, while Daredevil also provides much the same speed bump, but you get the ability to roll extremely fast and will accelerate even faster mid-air. Using Racer or Daredevil doesn't come without its drawbacks though. The Harasser is tough to drive effectively. Its speed to weight ratio is off the charts, and with Racer in particular, it's very easy to flip. Daredevil is actually quite forgiving with regards to flipping thanks to the fast roll speed, but managing your momentum is a whole other beast in itself. The fact remains, though, that these drawbacks can be minimized with good driving skill that I'll be teaching you, and they unlock the most competitive level of play. First things first, roll. Use your A and D keys to roll your Harasser mid-air like a spinning football. This helps to maintain momentum when landing and also mitigates damage when landing from tall heights. The rule of thumb here is that you want to be slightly off axis or not parallel with the ground surface, and preferably have your front tires touch the ground before your back ones to minimize damage. Next up is the handbrake. What? Yes, it exists. By default, if you hold spacebar while turning and moving forward, you will partially brake. This doesn't really affect much of your speed per se, but does enable you to make tighter turns and use your high momentum to drift around corners. See the diagrams and examples here for how using the handbrake impacts your driving path. Using the handbrake can also help minimize the bumps you experience while bouncing over terrain, leading to a more grounded drive. Bonus for you lightning drivers out there, the handbrake becomes more critical on this vehicle due to its even higher inertia and lower center of gravity. Just try and be careful, as the pancake nature of the lightning means you won't want to be drifting while catching air, for you will very likely flip the vehicle. If you do find yourself in this situation, mash the A or D key, whichever rolls you in the direction opposite of where you're flipping, and hold on for dear life. Speaking of inertia, the Harasser's is still quite high. You can observe this and get a better feel for the vehicle by careening backwards off a cliff or down a hill. You will notice you travel considerably faster and maintain almost all of your momentum for a very long time when you don't press anything. You actually go much slower if you hold down the S key or drive backwards key, despite moving in that direction to begin with. Finally, for actual driving mechanics, we have turbo management. Big things to remember here are that regaining that first third of turbo takes a while in relation to the other 2/3. So if you can avoid burning through it all at once, you'll survive much more often. Additionally, when ramping off of terrain, try to burst turbo just a tad at the bottom of the jump, as well as the takeoff point where you leave the ground. If using Daredevil, you'll want to save turbo for mid-air, where you can get a burst of additional acceleration. Combine that with drifting off of a jump with handbrake and turboing mid-air, and you can pull off some Rocket League-esque momentum shifts that will have your enemies sending rage tells about your supposedly sky-high ping. When you get days, and I mean days of practicing these principles, this is how you can expect to feel.
Now this is pod racing.
So unfortunately, I've got bad news for you. That was only how to get 1 foot out of your Harasser's grave. You still need to deal with some pretty ferocious vehicles, including other speedy Harassers and Prowlers, tanky Harassers that are otherwise known as Magriders, and behemoth Vanguards. Don't worry though, I've got a game plan in place for you. Remember how I said you're a total scrub if you use anything but a halberd? Yeah, I'm sort of kidding, but also not really. The halberd comes into play here. You see, it's got what we call high alpha damage. What that means is that it delivers the pain in one shot and then reloads. The Dalton on the Liberator, BLG missile on the Valkyrie, Decimator on the Heavy, AV turret on the NG, and any AP tank shell really, all have high alpha damage. The key for anti-vehicle harassing is to notice that high alpha damage and the speed that you have combine to make cover and dodging enemy fire incredibly important. This makes the Harasser a glass cannon of sorts. A little homework for all you folks at home. Take a look at the table below and the relative strengths of each vehicle. Think about how they stack up against the Harasser. What weaknesses of the Harasser become more exploitable with each one? Which weaknesses are present in the enemy vehicles? Now think of a game plan for how to deal with each one. What becomes the focus all of a sudden? I can give you some answers. Vanguards are slow, but extremely powerful. Killing them can be a real chore. You'll want to avoid these guys in groups, but alone you can easily whittle one down with the aid of cover and timing. You don't have to worry as much about being pushed so fast, so be aggressive about popping in and out of cover whenever their turret isn't facing you. The Magrider is fast and maneuverable, but its turret is stuck to the front of the vehicle. After using terrain to approach the vehicle from behind, use your handbrake and drift to rotate around quickly and understand that its strafing speed left to right impacts how you pop in and out of cover if you must engage head-on. Always be ready to change direction quickly. The Prowler is deceptively fast. Pay attention to the minimap when in cover, as they charge faster than you think. Keep your distance and try to bait one away from other enemy vehicles to deal with. The HP isn't as much as a Vanguard, but its dodging capabilities are a bit better, so pay special attention to engage Prowlers where there is little cover for them and from a maximum distance that your gunner can reliably hit from. Hopefully, one that gives them a difficult time hitting you as well. Enemy Harassers can match your speed. Your driving abilities will be put to the test the most against other good drivers. With the Halberd, you'll want to keep your distance, especially against close quarters weapons like the Vulcan, Mjolnir, and Aphelion. The Harasser that wins a 1v1 is the one that controls their vehicle the best, maintains the most momentum, and times their cover with both the reload of their halberd in addition to the reloads of any enemy weapons, all while giving their gunner a nice stable ride when it's time to shoot to maximize accuracy. When facing other high alpha damage weapons, you want to pay attention to other vehicle guns' reload times in addition to your own. Maximize your window of attack and minimize their own. If you can't find cover, use bumps in the terrain or your conserved handbrake and turbo to drift ever so slightly to throw off enemies. This is easier done when there's distance between you and your enemy. It may feel futile, but if done right, you can effectively equate your HP to that of an MBT by using your driving skills alone. As a closing note here, be spatially aware at all times and in all dimensions. Understand your playing field, what's in front of you, around you, behind you, and above you, both in terms of threats and opportunities now and in the future. Use your minimap to see what you'll encounter behind obstacles. Imagine how an entire engagement you're entering will play out both right now and in 30 seconds. What does the terrain look like? Can I dip down into this valley or crest this hill before the next time he shoots so he misses? If I'm being chased by a Vulcan Harasser, do I continue to try and distance myself over bumpy terrain or drift around a corner to break line of sight and switch direction? Which tips the balance best in my favor? These are some of the simpler scenarios you will encounter, which is why it is paramount that you get time in the driver's seat and just keep trying to improve. Just like in real life driving, you want to get into the habit of looking past what is immediately in front of you. Predict the future based on your enemy's habits, their loadout, and the skill of you and your gunner. Once you get real good, you'll be planning out your engagements instinctually, 2, 3, or 4 shots in advance across multiple targets and threats to maximize your probability for success. With practice, this will allow you to be more aggressive in your plays and throw your enemies off their guard regularly. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, as these videos do take a lot of time and effort to create, although they are oh so worth it. I want my channel to be not just another Planetside 2 channel, but to focus on fun playstyles that elevate the experience of this wonderful sandbox in new ways almost 10 years in. If you have anything you've unearthed over the years, feel free to share them by hopping in my Twitch streams Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 9 PM Eastern or in my channel Discord, both of which are linked below. Hey, if they pique my interest, you might just see a video about them in the future. Until next time, I'll catch you on Auraxis.